need to share my screen. All right. 1 second. Got it. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
All right. Let's start from the beginning. Okay. Today we're going to talk about how to get your needs met in 2022. Thank you for the great introduction. So I won't take your time to talk more about me. And why isn't it not advancing? Oh, there it goes. Okay. So the first thing I'd like to do is just ask for your willingness. Ask for your participation today. So much, as we know, in the world we are in today has changed, recently, especially with the pandemic. And there's so much out there about how to handle that pandemic, all the negative things happening. But instead today, I want to talk and get your participation in us thinking outside the box of what positive, I guess looking for the silver lining, okay? What has happened positively with having to deal with the pandemic? So I don't know if it's possible the way we are situated to participate. Is that possible, Tim? Thumbs up? Okay. So can we open it up and have people share, let's think out of the box. What is a positive thing that might have happened due to things being different, or maybe something new that we've learned?
Yep, I'll share, starting Mary Lou. So my business, I've been able to expand it to do virtual meetings. It's actually something that's I've grown in since the pandemic. So
excellent. And was this a skill that you had sharp already, or is it something that you are willing to share that and be vulnerable that you've improved in that area?
Yeah, no, I had some virtual meeting experience, but it's definitely sharpened the skills since the pandemic.
Okay, how about anybody else? Maybe on a personal note or business or anything.
From the insurance world, it's helped tremendously to be able to do phone and virtual enrollments, which was unheard of before the pandemic.
Excellent. I've noticed that, and I have it listed there. Innovation was accelerated, right?
Right.
And that's a great example both Tim and Janelle gave. Anyone else?
Yes, Susan in the room here, and I just want to say that I was super resistant to online meetings of any kind. I avoided them at all costs, and now I can see how very useful they are.
Yes.
Turn the lights on.
Hi,
How
Don.
about one more?
Probably a shadow right now. I discovered something really interesting. I thought I was going to be toast because I couldn't get out health reasons and it seemed like business was shutting down. But I have an international client that we actually figured out how to edit live with people in China and people here in the US in different places. And we would talk and I would just edit and they could see my screen and we put together.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's amazing. From the senior world, dealing with seniors, how many people in your family have older adults, or maybe we are some ourselves, that were resistant to technology? Right? I can't see everybody, but I see the few heads I can see shaking yes. Yep. So I have seen seniors, and I'm going to use my mother-in-law as an example, discovering YouTube. She's 95 years old. 95. She's learned how to text. It's amazing. So, some might say, well, it's isolating, but here's someone who lives thousands of miles away from some of her family. And now she's watching old videos and new ones about her country of origin, Poland, that she would never ever discovered had these changes happened. And she's texting her 21-year-old granddaughter. What is that? So we've learned that we can be innovative, right? And we've learned that good things can happen even during a pandemic. So let's set the intention for 2022 being the year of willingness, maybe to step out of our comfort zone, take some risks, and explore some possibilities. We just gave examples of how forced change, forced things that happened that we had no control over came out positive. So what could be possible if we intentionally were willing to practice? We don't have to be perfect at it, just practice stepping out of our comfort zone, taking some risks, and just maybe saying, well, maybe it is possible. So I have an equation. I hope you can see it. I can't. Okay. The equation is W plus G minus F equals SI. So let's not get confused with WTF for those who text often, okay? That is not what I'm talking about, all right? That's entirely something different. Okay, so W stands for what is your why? Now, I've heard this asked before. I did a little research. I'm not an expert. I do know that it's needed. And why is it needed? It's the engine that drives what we do. I was listening to a podcast recently, and for the life of me, I could not find it in time for this presentation. But it was of two gentlemen. One was a Navy SEAL, and he said, stop trying to make habits happen. And I'm like, that got my attention, because I always thought, well, everybody tells you, if you want to do something, you want to make a change, you want to make progress on something, start doing little things, little changes, and make them a habit. He said to me, that's completely the wrong way. No, well, see, I took it personally. He didn't say it to me. The podcast wasn't for me, but I did absorb it, obviously. Okay. What he was saying was, if your why is strong enough, if you have a passion for something, no matter what happens, the habits that support that passion, the actions that you need to take to make your dream happen, are going to happen regardless. So he gave the example. If you wanted to, let's say, be fit and be healthy, your family has a lot of health issues, and you know that being healthy is extremely important for longevity and what you want to accomplish. And every morning at 7 a.m., you're committed to fitting that workout in, because you know by 8 a.m. you have to be at the office. And you're doing that for 6 months, and your house burns down unexpectedly. I mean, that's a tragedy. If it's so important to you to be healthy, you might skip that day, but while you're staying at the hotel trying to sort things out, you're going to get up and go to the gym, and you're going to work out at 7 a.m. So I'm sure I'm not conveying the story as well as he did, but it really hit home with me. And I always thought, why can't these habits, be in line with what I'm trying to accomplish? And I truly believe it is making your why big enough, making your passion strong enough, that no matter what happens, you don't get derailed. That engine keeps on moving. So another reason why is important, you're less likely to die. Believe it or not, there's a study that shows that there is a lower risk of death for participants with a high sense of purpose after adjusting for other factors and whatever. So it's good for your longevity. You're less likely to die by having a purpose. Statistics show. And I just wanted to share some, Simon Sinek is a well-known person, motivational speaker, author, so on. And one of his focuses is, what is your why? So if you're looking to, I'm not an expert in this area, don't pretend to be. So this is a place that you can go, this website, and to take courses and educate yourself. The other book that I'm familiar with that motivated me is the well-known through Talk Shop, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Can I get any other suggestions? I know we have a very well-read group that does a lot of self improvement. What are some other places that you could share with the group that would help us focus on improving our why and our passion?
I do have something, Mary Lou.
Okay, great.
It's the vision board. And when you're really, some people say when I ask them this question, how do you know what your why is? I know what I know. I want to have a happy family life. I know I want to live in the country. I know whatever their thing is. But how do I know what my why is? Your why is what makes you want to jump out of bed every day and go and do what you do. And I know for me, it's just being on a journey with people getting their mortgage. That sounds so boring, but it's not, because people are buying their first house. People have been through a divorce. They're finally going to own their own house again and start that new chapter, that positive chapter in their life, restructuring their stuff. I mean, it's so exciting to be on the journey. For me, that's my why, is being integral part of major times in people's lives. So I ask you, what is it that makes you want to jump out of bed? Build a vision board. Think, what does it look like for the future? And Mary Lou, that is, for me, getting to the why is having a vision, knowing what people are going to be saying about you, knowing what you're going to get to do every day, and having a picture of that on the vision board.
Yes, very great example. And even a better one than the one I gave, because it does get you out of bed in the morning. And should something happen that throw you off track, Joe, I'm sure after you put a little, few things in place, you're right back on the train, right? Yes.
That's right. Then I see my vision board every day, sitting right across from my desk.
So I would say that if you're struggling to put habits in place to support what you're trying to accomplish, you could be missing the W in this equation. And to study, be a student of your why and work on that. Any other suggestions of places or ways to? No? Okay, we'll move on. All right, the next in the equation is G, and G is for your goals. So what is your plan of action to support your goals, or to support your why, more importantly? So if you know you're on the train, you know what your why is, you know what your passion is, and now you need to break it down and write it down. Break it down and write it down. What is it that you need to plan? What is it that you need? What actions do you need to take to support those goals? And you do this for two reasons. One, because science says so. The science says that, and I can't read my own quote here because the picture is in the way, but the neuroscience explains that people who very vividly describe or picture their goals there you go, Joe, a vision board, right? Are anywhere from 1.2 to 1.4 times more likely to be successful in accomplishing their goals. And this was a recent article in Forbes magazine saying that neuroscience explains this. But I said there were two things. The other thing is because Tim Fleschner has told us so. And Tim is a resource right here in Talk Shop. There he is. If you don't see him on the screen, he's there. And as an example, he recently, I think it was early January, right, Tim, that you had a course. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I was just putting in the chat, Mary Lou, thank you for this, but and love everything you're sharing. But it's to your statistic that you shared. 40% more likely to achieve a goal if you write it down, 60% more likely to achieve it if you share it with others, 90% more likely if you are held accountable to it. So I love that statistic. So
Yes.
It's all about making those goals.
And that's why not only goals being important, but it's an important part of being in Talk Shop, because you have people like Tim to help us make progress with this. So that setting goals is not my expertise, but definitely we have an expert on staff. So F in this equation is our fear. Now this is the area, more of an area that I'm actually been certified in. So I want, hopefully everybody can see the screen. And I wanted to ask, when you're in the process of trying to accomplish things or make something happen, whether it be professional or personal, how many of these, I want you to go read through them and write down the ones that you have felt have come up for you when under pressure or trying to accomplish your goals. Just take a minute.
All of the above.
All of the above? Is
You
that
said all of
quick?
the above.
I thought it would take a few minutes for people to sort out which ones. Okay. All right. So I need your indulgence in a little exercise, if I could, please. So what I'd like you to do is think of the one that comes up most often or comes to mind in a situation a specific situation that you were trying to accomplish. So I want you to pick one of these. I'll give you a
Impatient.
second to-
Impatient, yeah.
Okay, so keep that in mind and keep the situation in mind. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to close your eyes. I'm not going to, otherwise I'll forget what I'm doing. No, I want you to close your eyes, think of that situation while you have your hand on your stomach. And I want you to settle into that situation. Think about the time that you were trying to accomplish something and this feeling or this thought permeated you and may have been a speed bump or actually a brick wall that kept you from accomplishing it. And as you're doing that, I want you to breathe in as you're thinking and breathe out. We want to do that a couple times. Breathe in and breathe out. So as you keep your eyes closed, the rising and falling of your body with your hand, feeling that, it's the feeling of that feeling or thing that you chose in the situation. And so your thoughts and your momentum and your decisions and things that you're thinking to do in order to move forward are rising and falling with your breath through this feeling that's stopping you. Now I just want you to, as you're breathing in and out, I want you to take your hand and move it a few inches away from your stomach while you still breathe heavily in and out. So that feeling is still there. But your hand being away from your stomach, okay, is you being just a few inches or a few steps away from that fear, from that feeling. Can you feel the difference? Do you feel where if you're able to realize that what you're feeling is fear and you are not your fear? Okay, you can open your eyes now. Thank you for doing that. Was there any awarenesses or feelings surrounding that? Being able to take a half a step away from that feeling? Did it have an impact or a thought that came to mind? Anybody like to share? Be brave.
I will.
Mary Lou, it's interesting because when it's almost like visualizing yourself outside your body. It allows you to step back and reevaluate and look. And by taking that breath, it also gets you to relax so that you can focus on the situation. And like you said, not be afraid. And so it's like just stepping outside the situation, getting out of that box of being in that box of fear.
Thank you, Miranda. Anyone else? I don't want to cut anybody short. So feelings come and go.
Well, we had somebody else, Mary Lou. We had Lynn.
No, please, please. I really want
Come on
participation.
up.
I would say impatient was for most of us, and that calmness prevents us from shooting our mouth off. How many times when we're impatient have we just maybe sworn or said something that 5 minutes later we truly regret? So I see that exercise as a buffer. The calmness, it allows you to think a little bit more before you say something that you may regret.
Thank you. And yeah, it's refocusing, right? And go ahead, Pat. Great.
Okay, well, I looked at both impatient and overwhelmed. And it seems like the more overwhelmed I get, the more impatient I get, because I need something to happen now. And when it's not happening now, it's like, I'm just so afraid nothing's going to happen and the whole deal's going to fall apart.
Right.
But if I can get out of the impatience, if I can move the impatience to the side and try to calm that part, then I may feel less overwhelmed. It's like as soon as I drop some of the impatience, the overwhelmed part diminishes.
Right.
If that makes sense.
No, it does. And what you're describing partially is what we go through in Fearless Living. And we discover through a series of exercises, what is our trigger? What is the thing that it's almost like ripping a Band-Aid off? We don't even realize it's triggering us until we have these, some of these feelings or behaviors. And we call these, and I forget, my brain just went blank, but anyway, probably fear. No, just kidding. So when we start having these feelings, it's the first time we begin to realize that something's, feelings are running what we're about to do. So the exercise is meant to take a pause, to realize that we're not our fear, that feelings run through us quickly. We could be in the worst mood, and then some little girl walks up and hands us a daisy, and instantly, in a situation, for example, like that, our feeling changes. So the exercise is meant to be an awareness that if we're acting on our thoughts based on our feelings, we can take a half a second, realize that's what's happening and take a pause and make a different choice. Let's see the next. So of course, I'm going to refer to myself as the expert in this area. I have Fearless Living book groups that explore, and there's no charge other than a small donation if you're able to attend the first 4 chapters. And I also do some one-on-one coaching. All right, 5 minutes. Okay. So, and this is my email for that. And the book that it's based on is Fearless Living by Rhonda Britton. So, but this is not a commercial for me. It's just a mention. Okay. So SI stands for soul intended. So living the life your soul intended. So getting your needs met comes down to this equation. W is know your why. Have a passion. Be passionate about what you want. G is get set and write your goals and make them visual. F is identify what fears are holding you back. And SI stands for live the life your soul intended. And that's all I have. Is there any feedback or questions or anything I can answer?
Joe, if you could just ask her this question, was that supposed to be soul, SOLE, or SOUL?
Is it SOUL or
SOUL, sorry, I typo. Thank you.
You're welcome. Can I give a testimonial?
Sure, come on up, Lynn.
Well, I had the pleasure in being in one of Mary Lou's first class, and there is great camaraderie. And I would recommend anyone who can fit this into their schedule to take the class, pick a project, pick a fear, and work on it. And you know, I joked with Mary Lou. I said the only thing I'm really afraid of is dancing with anyone other than Troy. And then when I went through the exercises, I found out, yeah, if you are a people pleaser and can't say no, that is a fear. So I recommend her book club to any of you who can possibly fit it into your schedule.
Thank you so much.
Well, Mary Lou, my question is, how do we sign up for your program?
Good question. It's probably best, my website's in work in progress. I just graduated in January. Going forward, the classes will be listed on my website, but right now the best way to reach me is to email me or call me. For Talk Shop people, you can just use my cell phone, 901-275-9271. Because anybody who's part of Talk Shop or is on this broadcast, I know that you are dedicated to self-improvement and growth, definitely. Or you can email me at mlnowak@resourceforliving.com.
All right.
I'm hosting a book club this evening. It starts the first 4 chapters of the book. And it's via Zoom, but you would have to have the book already. So it's a little late for that one, but I'll let you know when the next one's coming up.
Well, Mary Lou, you did a great job.
Thank you.
She's sharing that. I'm telling you, if we get
There's
to your
so
why,
much.